Good morning, everyone. I'd like to convene this public hearing of the Government Administration and Elections Committee. And we have two people signed up to testify today for our public hearing. And we'll start first with Representative Liz Lenahan. Welcome, Representative Lenahan. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Flexer. Representative Fox, how are you? And to all members of the GAE committee, thank you so much for allowing me to testify today. I am Representative Liz Lenahan, and I have the great honor of representing the town of Cheshire, who has two pieces of conveyance here on the agenda. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify on those. The first is Senate Bill 489, which is conveying land from the DOC to Chesprocott Health District. Chesprocott was instrumental in vaccination clinics throughout the period of COVID, which we're still in. I hate to say that. But additionally, they've done a lot of work prior to that with many other vaccination clinics, like flu clinics. Recently, they have been asked to continue to do that with even more vaccination clinics, with things like shingles, pertussis, and those things. The community has really benefited from their expertise, but they have outgrown the area that they're in. Small little office building. And because of that, they've had to go to other sites around town in order to do these vaccination clinics. Years ago, a parcel of land was conveyed to the town from the Department of Corrections for our food pantry. And now Chesprocott is looking to obtain another parcel directly adjacent to that to continue the work that they do together and to have these clinics. As we all know, our local health districts have done so much during COVID, and they're going to continue to be called upon as we move through the pandemic, as it's going to now be an endemic. And their services are going to be needed more than ever. And they've just really outgrown their area. And so I do hope that you'll take that under consideration. The other bill is Senate Bill 490, which is the conveyance of DOC land to Cheshire for the purposes of the bus depot. This bus depot area has been utilized by the town of Cheshire for many, many years. In fact, we have a lease agreement with the DOC. I believe it's $1 for every 5 years. And Cheshire has been really good to this land. They've consistently upgraded it and done a lot of safety improvements, aesthetic improvements, traffic flow improvements. And we're very, very grateful for this inexpensive lease. The issue is for every improvement that we do and every time the lease comes up, it requires a lot of administrative work, both on the state end and on the end of the town. And since this is really going to be in perpetuity, because it is, when we say bus depot, it's a school bus depot. It's where all the Cheshire school buses are. And now with the theft of catalytic converters, there's going to probably even be considered more upgrades for safety. And what we would like to do is have that officially conveyed to the town of Cheshire so that we can eliminate all of these administrative duties every time A, the lease comes up, or B, that they continue to do these improvements. And I believe that they have been approved for more improvements that will be coming up in the next year or two to be finished, but we're going to continue to do that. I think this would just make it easier on everybody. And I think I've explained it sufficiently, but if there are any questions regarding these two parcels of land and the intended use, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. Thank you for your time and your testimony this morning. Are there questions or comments from members of the committee? Representative Mastrofrancesco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative. It's nice to see you. Thank you for that information. I just had a quick question on Senate Bill 490. Right now, you're saying that the town of Cheshire is leasing it from the state for $1 per year?
I believe it's actually $1 per term, and that term is 5 years.
Okay, it's $1 per 5-year term. So the town of Cheshire wants to purchase the land or have the land conveyed over to them. Would there be a price on that they would be paying for the land, or do you know?
No, the conveyance would be without consideration for money, but however, I mean, I don't see that as a loss to the state, as we're really talking for $1 every 5-year term. But what it actually is, it's saving money for the state, because every time they need to renew that lease, so every 5 years, or any time that the town of Cheshire has to put in to do some improvements to the land. I mean, like they even did a new septic system, all of these really expensive improvements. The town is paying for all those improvements. We do not ask for state money for those or have not in the past. And additionally, there's work that needs to be done on either side, administrative work, lawyers, and that actually does cost both the town and the state money. So the conveyance of this land, which has been in use by the town of Cheshire for many, many years, it would actually save money on both ends.
Thank you. So the town has put improvements into the land in the past that you had mentioned. Do you know how much they have spent on that land over the years? Any idea?
I'm unsure of that. It's been such a long time that we've been using this, and they're consistent upgrades. But I guess it's not going to be a small amount. We're looking at upgrading a septic system, new LED lighting for safety and aesthetics. They added a second entrance for better traffic flow for safety coming off Route 10. And that's just in the past few years. But this agreement from the state has been, they've been doing this for a very long time. And I'm sure that there have been other upgrades. And then moving on, if hopefully this land is conveyed to the town of Cheshire, there will be continual improvements. And then essentially all that liability would be put on the town to handle that. And it certainly wouldn't come money from the state.
So as far as you know, the improvements that they have done thus far did not come through any grants for the state or any bonding or anything through the state?
No, to the best of my knowledge, no. And especially in my time on the Cheshire Town Council, this was always something we were looking at in terms of capital improvements and other budget issues.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it, Representative.
Thank you,
Madam
Representative.
Thank you, Representative. Are there other questions or comments from members of the committee? Representative Fox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Representative Linehan. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you, sir.
Just a quick one. Based on the backup information, it appears though in terms of 489 to the health district, it appears though that the state had conveyed a parcel of property in a similar fashion of food pantry a few years ago. Are you aware of that?
Yes, correct.
And that was done on the parcel that you're hoping is in the same area as the food pantry?
It's right next door. Chesprocott does a lot of work with the food pantry. And so we want to put it right next door, which would help not only serve the clients of the food pantry, also serve the clients of our Chesprocott local health district. So yes, it's right next door.
Okay, great. Seems like it would make sense in big picture wise in terms of efficiency, things of that nature for the town.
Agreed. And thank you so much. And I will say, otherwise, I believe, it goes the food pantry, the area of land that Chesprocott is interested in, and then the bus depot. Mm-hmm. So it's that strip of land that really is not useful in any other way. Mm-hmm. And it's the back end of the prison. So otherwise there would be nothing there.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just as we typically ask all individuals come forward, are you aware of any opposition to this request that you are aware of? Any opposition that you're aware of?
I am not.
No, okay. Great. Well, thank you very much for your time and testimony. Good seeing you, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow in person. Hopefully.
We'll see you tomorrow, my seatmate. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Seeing no other questions or comments from members of the committee, we thank you again for your time this morning and your testimony. Have a nice day.
Have a great day. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Eric Hammerling. Welcome, Eric. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning, Senator Flexer, Representative Fox, and members of the GAE committee. My name is Eric Hammerling, and I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Forest and Park Association. Since our founding in 1895, CFPA has advocated to set aside iconic places for the public, such as Peoples and Goodwin State Forests, Rocky Neck, Penwood, Talcott Mountain, and Gillette Castle State Parks, and many others. I mention this to demonstrate CFPA's long commitment to public lands and to give you context for why I'm testifying in opposition to every state land conveyance proposed on today's agenda. When you review a conveyance bill, you should know the answer to some basic questions, like questions that Representative Fox and Master Francesco just asked. Is there a significant public benefit that makes this conveyance necessary? Are there ways short of transferring ownership that might solve a problem? Did the entity requesting the conveyance meet with the relevant state agency first? If they did, how did the state agency respond? If they didn't, why didn't they? Is potential valuable state land being sold at fair market value or being given away at a loss to the state? What is the required future use of the land? Is this use compatible with known water, wildlife, and other natural resources? If that future use of the land isn't adhered to, is there a reverter clause that would return the land to the state under certain conditions? After reviewing the bills on today's agenda, many of these questions remain unknown, at least to those of us who have attempted to learn more about these proposals to give you some substantive input today. Public lands are owned by the public, and before public lands are sold, swapped, or given away through an act of the General Assembly, the public should have a chance to understand what the public benefits of these conveyances may be. Without this knowledge, how can we assess whether the potential benefits of these conveyances truly outweigh the losses of land from the public trust that would result? In my testimony, I evaluated each proposed conveyance based upon the language in each bill. The information in the bills alone simply isn't enough, and in my opinion, does not meet the standards for transparency that I know this committee stands for. I respectfully request that the applications for each of the conveyance bills be made public, or at least be shared with those of us who have requested them. And I further request that you schedule another public hearing to get real public input once we and others have been able to review this information. The fact that only Representative Linehan and me are speaking today should be evidence that far too little is known about these bills to be able to give meaningful input. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I'd be glad to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Are there comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, thank you again for your time and your testimony this morning.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, I believe that concludes our list of people to testify that have formally signed up. I don't believe there's anyone else here to testify this morning on the bills before us.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, with that, there are no further comments or questions. I declare this public hearing adjourned. Thank you very much.